Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with me today on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. So we're back at it again, and from Foregate Whiskey Company. This is going to be their Kelvin Collaboration 3 or Batch 12. Within this batch, there were 1,647 bottles. This comes in at 123.7 proof or 61.85% ABV. It is non-age stated, however, it's going to be a blend of two mash bills. First, there's going to be a 9-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey that comes in at 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley. The 12-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey comes in at 74% corn, 18% rye, 8% malted barley. It is non-age stated, but again, we know there's blends of 12 and 9-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey in that. And the MSRP is going to be right around that $200 price point, which is a pretty standard or typical price point for Foregate Whiskey Company. So one thing I forgot to mention before, this Kelvin Collaboration 3 is finished in a PX Sherry rum cask. So the difference there is with the PX Sherry and the rum, those were both held in a single cask. So it's PX Sherry rum versus PX Sherry and rum cask. So they were all in an individual cask that held those same spirits within it. So then they took their 9 and 12-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, finished it in that PX Sherry rum cask, and this is what we've got. So yeah, so let's go ahead and we'll kind of get into it. As you all know, I mean, I'm a huge fan of what it is that Foregate has done, is doing, will be doing, all of those things. So again, for me, this is going to kind of fall within that category again of just a special whiskey. And for me, it's going to be one that I will definitely recommend people trying to find, own, drink, enjoy, all of that. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the review. Color-wise, you can see really, really nice, kind of rich, kind of mahogany-ish color, deep kind of copper on that as well. Move it around in the glass. Again, I've allowed this to open up for probably about 10 minutes before. I've had the bottle open up now for upwards of a month. So I've allowed a little bit of airtime for this thing to, again, open up a little bit, let that oxygen get in there and kind of do its magic with this finished bourbon. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the nose. Oh man, just that right away, you get that heavy, rich, dark fruit aspect to it. Almost like a spice cake. We did a Zoom the other night, and one of the guys on there kind of mentioned something that this had a little bit of a carrot cake aspect to it, and there's that spiciness, that sweetness, the vanilla frosting that's definitely on this. And, you know, it would have been interpreted as like a spice cake for me, but he had mentioned something specifically about a carrot cake, and you can definitely see how that would come through. Nice and buttery on this. And again, that buttery aspect a lot of times comes from that sherry influence. I don't know what it is about the sherry influence on a bourbon, but you get this buttery aspect to it. Really nice rich molasses on this, which is more than likely the rum influence that's there. Really nice chocolate notes. This is more of a heavier dark chocolate aspect. Again, that really nice vanilla cream. Again, probably the cake frosting, something like that. A little bit of a toasted marshmallow. Really, really nice oak on this one. Sweet, rich oak that's there. There's something that's very tangy about it as well. There's a tangy, it's bright, there's something that's there. A little touch of mint on that as well for me. Yeah, and again, this is one of those bourbons, those finished bourbons that you're going to want to let open up that bottle, give it some airtime, pour it in the glass, give that a little bit of airtime. Generally speaking, you'll be rewarded when you allow this thing some time to kind of breathe. All right, let's go ahead and get into the taste here. Cheers. So right away, your first thought is it really coats the mouth really well. It's very viscous, oily. So that right away is always a really nice sign. But when you kind of dive into this, like I had mentioned before on the nose, there's this spice cake influence to it, like immediately. So it lets you know that there's a little bit of spice behind it, kind of an allspice, yeah, carrot cake aspect, if you want to call it that, but that nice spice cake, nice rich molasses that's there. Definitely those dark fruits, you know, the plum, that nice cherry, Luxardo cherry. It's very refined, complex, mouth coating, oily, all of that so far. Slight dryness, which you'll get from sherry, not quite as sweet as an Oloroso, but the PX or the sherry has a drying influence that's usually there. But for this one, not overly dry, you know, nothing in comparison to an Oloroso, which is really, really dry. But again, that sherry influence, that's kind of what it's starting to do, but you do definitely pick that up. Again, there's that buttery aspect to it. Nice. There's a nice rich, like tobacco, maybe more along the lines of like a rich, sweet, like pipe tobacco. This is not as much of like a cigar tobacco where you get a little bit more of the earthiness. This is a little bit on the sweeter side of things, but still remaining very mouth coating and complex. Yeah, that sherry really starts to become a little more singular as it sits on the palate a little bit more. So you get that buttery influence, just the sherry overall influence that's there. Layered right behind that is that molasses from that rum. And one thing I'll say about Foregate is they don't cut any corners in terms of their secondary casks. They're always trying to find the best possible casks that they can finish these already great bourbons in. So it just continues to evolve. So as they're blending and finishing these bourbons, they're remaining true to themselves in terms of it always being a high quality product. That's one thing you'll always get from Foregate, and one of the reasons why I've you know, really become a big fan of what it is that they're doing. Great vanilla spice that's there. Yeah, it's kind of a vanilla, oak, that spice cake, the sherry influence, the molasses, maybe even a touch of citrus on this as well. Maybe more of an orange citrus that's there. Very concentrated, fresh. But that sherry influence really starts to shine the longer it sits on your palate. It's just an incredible finished bourbon whiskey, period. I mean, this is one I would tell anybody who enjoys this kind of profile or what it is that Foregate does. Don't hesitate. If you can find it, buy it. This will be one that I'll be working on getting a backup bottle of, because this one will be gone fairly quickly. It's super easy to drink. Again, at just over 123 proof, it's very easy to drink. I mean, you wouldn't think that this thing was more than probably that 110 proof-ish, somewhere like that. It drinks way under its proof point. So, but if you transition, or as we start to transition over into the finish part of it, that sherry influence, the molasses that's there are fantastic layers to this bourbon, and all of those, in terms of what it is that they're finishing, they are continuing to shine. The other thing that I forgot to kind of mention before, or that I wanted to touch on, is the bourbon itself. You're already starting out with a great stock, 9 and 12 year Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskeys that they're finishing in these PX sherry rum casks. it is done extremely well, I'll say that. So everyone that's in charge of all of the blending, you know, with 4Gate, again, they're doing an incredible job. So here's what I'd say about this in terms of the finish part of it. Again, that lingering spice cake, the influence of the sherry, the rum, that vanilla aspect, great oak. Again, that nice spice. I keep saying this spice cake, it lingers there, and it's the layers of this is just done, I would say, you know, perfectly. Again, great oak, vanilla cream, chocolate influence that's there. Touch of mint still remains even on the finish part of it. So I would say with the Kelvin Collaboration 3, for me, this is a very special finished bourbon. And if you're able to find it, I would highly recommend you picking this one up. The richness and complexity and how well this has been put together, hands down for me, one of the best bourbons that 4Gate has put together, I think, to date. So it has become very consistent with what it is that they try to do with their Kelvin Collaboration series. Is they've really done an absolutely fantastic job, again, with the Kelvin Collaboration 3. So kudos to them. And again, if you can find this, don't hesitate, just buy it. It's worth $200. I know, without getting into the what things are worth in today's day and age, I'll say this is worth paying $200. Buy a couple less inexpensive bottles, save up your money, buy a bottle of the Kelvin Collaboration 3 if you can find it. So there you have it. Kelvin Collaboration 3 comes in at 123.7 proof. Again, blend of 9 and 12 year Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskeys, finished in PX Sherry rum casks. So there again you have it. I want to say thank you so much for tuning into another one of my reviews. Greatly appreciate all of the support. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel or be part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, you can find that link in the description below, which is our Patreon page. So check that out as well. And again, remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.